Howdy, I'm Grey Pilgrim. Well, first of all, a friend of mine who goes by the Czar's Tailor online came over the other day and he had finished making a hat for me, and this is it. I always wanted a real good tri-corner hat, and I've got one now. I've got the flintlocks to go with it, but at the moment. Oh, the other thing is if you hear a buzz, I've got a bee that's gotten somehow into my gun room. I can't seem to convince it to leave, and I don't have a fly swatter handy, so it's making some noise, so please ignore the buzz. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about was another YouTuber who goes by the name of The Blind Sniper, who, by the way, I really enjoy his content. Please do subscribe to him. He is good. And he, in a recent video, was talking about the AG42 Ljungman series from Sweden. That's the name of it, Ljungman. It's LJ, and it's pronounced Ljung, like that in Swedish. Anyway, the Ljungman was developed in a very short period of time by an engineer named Ekland, and he worked for a plumbing and pump making company in Sweden, and he produced a he produced a prototype and submitted it rather quickly, and the board there really liked it and approved it. Now, I say that I used to have a Ljungman, an AG42B. Unfortunately, it didn't have good headspace and kept ripping the heads off of any chambered round after it was fired. I took it back and asked naively if it could be fixed, because I didn't know. I liked it, but I couldn't keep it that way. And the fellow, I took it back to, darn it, you can tell it's springtime. I got a bee in the house, and I'm sneezing because of my allergies. Excuse me. Anyway, he took it back to the gun. I took it back to the gunsmith, and I asked if he could fix it, and he said no, but I can refund your money. And so he says, and I cannot let you walk out with this because you obviously don't know how to deal with it yourself. Which he was right at the time. I do now, and I could fix the headspace on it now, but and I kicked myself because that was the last opportunity I ever had to get a Ljungman. By the way, that Ljungman cost me, hold on to your seats, $200. This was in the early 1980s. Well, some years later, I ran into another fellow who had this for sale, which was an adaptation of the Ljungman system. This is the Egyptian Hakim, and that's the one that the Blind Sniper was showing. Now, it had some problems with this little gizmo in the back that does the safety. Excuse me. His would not go into safe correctly, and this one will, as you can see. If you pull it forward, if you put your fingers in here, always double check and do whatever it takes to make sure that things are working right. And what I'd like to do is take the magazine out, because it works better without the magazine. See that? That's what his did when it was in the safe mode. And that's safe. You notice nothing happens. But here, you switch it all the way over, and when you drop it back, that is the worst Garand thumb you could possibly ever get, to have your thumb in between that when it springs back into position. Well, the thing about the Ljungman system, this is the very first ever direct blowback gun ever produced in commercial service. Well, actually in military service. It has a gas cutoff right here, and the takeoff is here, and it goes down through this tube, goes to this little port here, which goes into this little cup in the receiver here, or actually in the bolt. Well, I guess that's the bolt carrier. The bolt's underneath it. Well, anyway, the point here is unlike the M16, there's no fancy stuff in it. It's just direct gas whatever you call it. And the one thing I wanted to show you about that was this. I don't know, can you see that? Oh, wait a minute, that. You can see the gas cutoff adjustment there. That adjustment is sort of triangular shape, rounded triangular, and that's the actual key to turn this thing. These are very difficult to find these days. I've had 3 of them. This is my last one. The first 2 were made out of plastic, and they were useless, absolutely useless. It was the kind of plastic that was made before 3D printing. I don't know if modern ones are any stronger than that. But this one is molded out of metal. The second one I had was metal, but I lost it. And this one I found another ad for, and I bought it, and it's superb. Well, anyway, this is the Egyptian Hakim. This one, unlike the AG42, was in 6.5 Swede, which is an excellent cartridge, and a flat shooting cartridge, and a very accurate cartridge. In the original 1895 Mauser it was chambered in, which I happen to have an 1895 Mauser and the 1938 carbine from it. I also had an AG42, but alas, no. I have this. I don't have the earlier rolling block that the Egyptians used way back when. I do have, if you look behind me, that's an FN-49, that's Egyptian, which was the replacement for the rolling block that King Farouk armed his army with. And when Gamal Abdul Nasser led the junta of the colonels that overthrew the king and established the Republic of Egypt. Oh, darn it. I hope I can make this work. There, we'll do that. Anyway, they're probably going to call back. Tell you what, I'm going to, excuse me just a moment. Just a moment. I put the phone in the refrigerator. It's insulated, so if it rings, I won't hear it. Anyway, as I was saying, oh, this thing came loose. How about that? I've got to fix it. Anyway, on the Hakim, when Nasser came in, he wanted a new rifle. Well, Sweden was phasing out the Youngman and going to a newer model, and they had all the tooling for this thing. And they went to Nasser and said, here, we can sell you this. And he says, I'll take it. Can you make it an 8 Mauser? And they said, yeah, we can rig it up for 8 Mauser. And he says, good, well, can you build a factory here to build it? So what they did is they moved the tooling down from Sweden, and they put it into the new facility that Nasser had developed there. Well, the Nasser, I forget, a lot of politics involved. But anyway, the outcome is this rifle was the standard rifle of Egypt, from about 1956-ish until I think the 6 Days War or thereabouts. Well, about just before that, Egypt got involved in this thing called the Aswan High Dam, which was a dam across the Nile, and created one of the largest lakes in Africa. It was rather controversial. And Nasser was in the American camp, in the Cold War. What happened was the dam was being built regardless. So he asked engineers from America to come along and help him build it. Instead, they said, well, we need an environmental impact statement. What about all of the archaeological remains that are around this area? What about all the people that will be displaced? What about economic disadvantages to all the people in the South? What about all of these different things? And of course they had different committees for each of them. And Nasser, being a nice little dictator, said, screw this crap. looked around and asked, "Hey, Russia, do you have any engineers that know how to build a dam? And can you come over here and help us out?" And they said, "Hey, comrade, no problem." So he said, "Hey, Americans, pound sand and get out of here. We got plenty of sand. You can pound it, but get out of here." Then he became a member of the Eastern Bloc. And that was how we lost Egypt. Well, he had these, and the Russians had just gone to the 7.62 by 39 cartridge, and there are a whole bunch of things, but they had this thing called the SKS, and they really wanted to sell this SKS thing to their client states. And they considered Egypt a client state, and client states saying, well, it's sort of like when the Czechs, they tried it with the Czechs, and the Czechs said, "Nah, we'll go with the VZ52. This is our version of that." Well, in like manner, the Egyptians, who had this already tooled up Hakim out there, they said to their Swedish engineers on site, "Can you help us out in coming up with a way of making something like an SKS, only using this tooling?" And they said, "Yeah, we can do it using the Eric Ekland direct blowback system," which they did. This is a Rashid. It's in 7.62 by 39. It has the same direct gas blowback, direct gas impingement. It has the exact same cutoff and uses the same tool. Instead of being in the full 8 Mauser, it's in 7.62 by 39, which is in this itty-bitty little magazine here. And instead of going back with a little metal flap that you push the bolt back with, they've got an actual bolt handle on it, and no lockup back here. It just, because it doesn't work the same way. It starts out here just the same. The action works exactly the same, but it doesn't lock up, and there's no way of getting your thumb in here when you're working the action. The dust cover, this is the dust cover on the thing, and it works pretty well. Well, anyway, I wanted to say about the Hakim here. The blind sniper, he's got one of those, I assume he's got like one that came from RTI or the like. This is much, much earlier. Inner Arms was importing these back in the, I guess, 1980s. And they had a bunch of them that they imported, and this one, well, they also imported that FN-49 back there. And they imported a lot of stuff. But this is a very beautiful rifle, in my opinion. It doesn't look anything like the beat-up ones you see today. This is closer to what really came out of the Swedish engineering that built that factory in Cairo. And it's a lovely little rifle, and I've shot it many, many, many times. And it works really well. It has one little problem, and that's, you see this flash hider? It is, to the guy firing it, because it takes the gas and pushes it directly back at him, it is one of the loudest things I've ever heard in my life. I wear plugs and muffs, and I can still feel it in my bones. It's just a very, very loud gun to shoot. And when it shoots the high-powered surplus ammo, it screams. I mean, it just screams. And it does eject the spent shells with some alacrity, but they all look fine. I mean, it's not dented up that bad, and it's not split or cracked or anything. But anyway, this is the final iteration of the AG-42 line, and I think it's kind of cool. These are rarer than hen's eggs, or than rooster eggs in the U.S. right now, and I just happen to have one, and I like it. And it's I think it's probably the prettiest of the Rashids that came in on import, because it's just, well, it's just perfect. Anyway, I just thought that I'd throw my 2 cents in about the AG-42 Yeoman. Anyway, happy trails.